Hey guys! This is part 7 of What If Naruto Was Adopted by the Goddess Artemis. Hit like and subscribe if you like this one, and also please check the author in the description. Let's start. Chapter 13. Help from a Familiar Face. At the next station, our group of demigods switched trains in an attempt to evade their pursuers. For the next hour, all they were thinking about was getting away safely. After a couple of trains, they were able to get loose the helicopter, but the catch is that they were severely off course. And now, they found themselves at the end of the train lines in an industrial area filled with nothing but warehouses and railroad tracks, along with lots and lots of snow. It was much colder here where they are. Fortunately for Percy, who was unprepared for this trip, he was now in possession of a new lion's fur coat. Naruto was now wearing a red cloak with flame patterns, the one he wore when he arrived at Westover Hall. "Sorry for relying on your cash, Naruto," Percy apologized as they wandered through the train yard. "It's no problem," Naruto said. "At least we got away, right?" Now they were looking around trying to find something, anything that could help them, even though it was unlikely. But in a 1 in a million chance, there was a homeless guy warming up in front of a trash can fire. He spotted the group, who looked a little worse for wear after that fight, and gave them a toothless grin. "Y'all need to get warmed up?" he called out to them. "Come on over." "Tth, that's GGG great." Talia's teeth chattered despite her jacket and Naruto's arm around her. Luna growled a little, not knowing who this newcomer was. Naruto picked her up and told her to be nice. In response, the puppy just snuggled into the blonde's chest. "My hooves are frozen," Grover complained. "Feet," Percy corrected. "Should we ask for help from camp?" Bianca suggested. "No," Zoe shook her head. "There is nothing they could do now. You know, you're never completely out of friends," the guy spoke. "What do you mean, sir?" Naruto said, examining the stranger. He had a grimy face and a tangled beard, but his expression was kindly. The blonde narrowed his eyes, sensing power coming from the hobo, a very familiar one at that. "Is that you, Uncle Apple?" "I don't know what you're talking about, young man." He shook his head. "There ain't no apples here?" "You can cut the act, Uncle Apple," Naruto pressed. "I know that's you." The homeless man sighed and raised a greasy finger to his lips. "Keep it down then. I'm incognito. And could you think of a cooler nickname than that one?" "Not a chance," Naruto chuckled. "Uncle Apple suits you." "How did you know it was him?" Percy asked. "I'd know his energy signature anywhere," Naruto answered. "Anyway, what are you doing all the way out here?" "Shift's done," Apollo lied. "Just chilling till it's time to start the old sun chariot again." "That can't be the only reason you're here," Talia said. "It's too convenient." "Nonsense!" Apollo waved her off. "Can't I just happen to come be in the right place at the right time?" "Well, can you help us at least?" Percy pleaded. "Sorry, cuz," Apollo shook his head. "I want to help my little sis as much as I want, but the ancient laws are clear, no direct interference." "But how will we go west?" Bianca drooped. "Well, if hypothetically there was a certain ride headed west that was about to leave, and hypothetically the doors were open for you to enter, then I guess that does not count as direct interference," Apollo suggested. "Get to the point," Zoe said impatiently. The incognito god winked and waved his hand towards a freight train, gleaming and free of snow. It was one of those trains that carried automobiles. With the gesture, the steel mesh curtains unlocked, revealing the triple deck of luxury cars inside. On the side of the train the words Sun West Line could be read. "How convenient," Talia commented. She then turned to Apollo and said, "Thanks for that." Apollo waved her off. "You are very welcome, young lady. So, do any of you lovely ladies need help boarding the train?" "Beat it," Zoe refused harshly. "We can handle ourselves just fine." Naruto sighed. "By now, you should know better than to hit on my sisters." Zoe stared at Naruto at the mention of the word sisters, but he didn't say anything. So cold. Apollo muttered, but his cheerful expression quickly returned. Well then, I guess it's time for me to leave. Remember, you did not see anything today. The god gave a salute to the demigods, and he slowly disappeared in a flash of sunlight. Jerk, he had to take the fire with him, Grover grumbled. Without anything to heat them up in the freezing weather and the eagerness to get out of it, they boarded the train. Inside, there were no seats for them to relax on, but they had the various luxury cars to relax on, so it was no problem. The demigods went their separate ways and picked their cars to relax on. Zoe took Bianca and relaxed on a Lexus parked on an upper deck, probably to preach to her the wonders of the hunt. Percy joined Grover on a Lamborghini where the satyr played race car driver. And Talia pulled Naruto towards a black Mercedes SLK. The girl had hardwired the radio, so she could listen to alternative rock stations. And even though the genre wasn't his cup of tea, he found himself bobbing his head to the music. Luna jumped in with them and made herself comfortable on the blonde's lap. You know, they're going to come after you. Naruto spoke up as he strokes the puppy's ear. Talia shrugged. It makes sense, Naruto continued. They tried to get Percy on their side. I'll be damned if they don't do the same to you. And we should assume that the Nemean lion isn't the one from the prophecy, Talia added. Yeah, not even close, Naruto agreed. Whatever it is more dangerous than anything we have faced before. With how far we have to go, Talia said. I don't think we could take anything more dangerous. You have an idea where we're supposed to go? Naruto tilted his head. It's just a hunch, really, but I think we have to head to San Francisco. Well, that is in the west, but what makes you say that? I just got the idea from what Annabeth had been complaining while you were gone. Her dad was planning to move there. She was so mad. She couldn't stop complaining about how he should know that half-bloods couldn't live there. Uncle Frederick did that? But why? I don't know, Talia shrugged. She didn't say. I see. Naruto decided to move the topic on. But that must not be the only reason. Yes, the daughter of Zeus nodded. The reason why it's unsafe for us to go there is because the mist is really thick there, since the Mountain of Despair is over there. The Mountain of the Titans? Naruto asked. That would make sense. Hiding Kazan in a place where we're told it's too dangerous for us demigods to go. Yeah, Talia said, finishing with a yawn. Man, I'm beat. Fighting those two Nemean lions really could drain a lot out of you. I agree with ya. Naruto dittoed. Sage mode can take a whole lot out of you. Naruto instantly fell asleep when his body found the perfect spot just as Led Zeppelin's song was starting to play. Naruto. Hey Naruto. Talia tried to get the blonde's attention when the words stopped coming from him. Oh, that's a good idea actually. She let out a huge yawn and her head slid towards Naruto's shoulder. Just then, a man walked up to the Mercedes with a knowing look on his face. Look at my nephew, so popular with the ladies. I taught him well, but they're asleep now. Oh well, might as well speak 'cause over there. Cloudcroft, New Mexico. Should we wake them? Grover whispered. Maybe we shouldn't. Bianca whispered back. Look at them, they look so adorable together. I disagree, Zoe said in her normal voice. We are losing precious time if we let continue like this. That was the moment Naruto took to the moment to grunt himself awake. He found himself cuddled right next to Talia in the luxury car. Talia stirred, waking up from the blonde's movements, while a particular furball who snuck in between them, jealous of the two demigods' closeness. The both of them groggily opened their eyes only to see everyone else watching them as they sleep. Both of their faces heated up and blushed at the attention. Finally! They're awake! Grover said. About time, Zoe said. We must hurry. The train stopped. This must be the last stop, Bianca said. After a few minutes of freshening up and getting ready, they were prepared, or as prepared as they will ever be, to continue on their quest to save the goddess of the hunt from the clutches of a titan who calls himself the General. After the fiasco that happened the day before, they have 4 days left to save Naruto's mother, including this day. Now, our heroes find themselves in this little ski town. The air here was cold and thin. The roofs of the buildings were covered in heaps of snow, and dirty mounds of it were piled up on the sides of the streets. Tall pine trees loomed over the valley, casting shadows though the morning was sunny. From where they were now, even in their thick clothes, they still felt the air pierce through to their skin. It was like they weren't dressed for the weather at all. As they walked, Percy narrated to his companions his little talk with the god Apollo just the night before. He explained that he told them about how information on the location of his twin sister and the identity of the monster in the prophecy was clouded from even him, the god of prophecy. He also told them that they should seek out Nereus in San Francisco. "Looks like your hunch was right, Talia," Naruto said. "We are going to the Bay Area after all. For once I'm not happy for being right." Talia sighed. "Why? How bad can the Bay Area be?" Percy asked. "Percy, Mount Artemis is there," Grover said. "There are a lot of monsters at the base of that mountain and the mist is so thick there, even we demigods are affected." Right, and what's Mount Artemis?" Percy followed up. Grover didn't answer. Instead, he sent a look to the leader of the quest like he was asking for permission to say more. Percy looked to Talia, but he was given the same response. Zoe seemed to notice this and said, "I do not want to talk about it. All that thou have to know is the mountain is dangerous for the half-bloods." She sounded like she had bad blood when talking about the place. Grover sighed. "I guess that's good. At least we have an actual location now. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but we got no ride out of here," Bianca said. The group looked around. True to Bianca's words, there was literally nothing in that town save for a school, a bunch of tourist shops, cafes, some ski cabins, and a grocery. All of that was seen from the middle of the town. "Hey, there's a coffee shop," Grover pointed out. "Yes, coffee is good," Zoe agreed. "I guess even an immortal huntress needs her morning coffee." "All right, you, me, and Bianca will go ask for directions," Talia suggested. "You three go get us some coffee and hot chocolate. We will meet in front of the grocery store in 15 minutes, Zoe added, and so the group split up to go on their respective agenda. On the way to the coffee shop, Naruto accidentally bumped into a curly-haired boy with dark brown eyes, pointy ears, and an elf-like features on his face. He kind of reminded Naruto of himself when he was younger. He was clutching his stomach like he hadn't eaten for a while. "Oh, sorry about that, man," Naruto apologized. No, it's my fault," he answered in a Hispanic accent. "I wasn't looking at where I was going." The boy's stomach took that moment to make its presence to the group. Sorry about that," he said. "You must be hungry," Naruto said. "You want to join us for breakfast?" "Gee, are you sure, man?" the boy asked, making sure he was hearing right. "Sure, why not?" Naruto shrugged. For the first time that day, the boy smiled. It was like he hadn't experienced this kind of good gesture from anybody, even from family. He felt like crying, but he held strong just like he always did. After buying the kids some food, the boy couldn't stop thanking them. "I can't thank you three enough for this. You don't know how much this means to me." "No problem, kid," Naruto waved him off. "Where are you from anyway?" "I'm from Houston," the kid answered. "What are you doing all the way out here?" Grover asked. No reason," the kid lied, but he decided he should tell them some truth. He owed them that much. "Actually, I'm an orphan trying to get my life together." "The orphanage isn't the life for me, you get me? Besides, they won't adopt me at my age." That hit Naruto in the heartstrings. He couldn't feel for the boy since he lived a life similar to his. He was about to say something, but Grover beat him to it. "Say, what do you say we get some help to get you to a place to call home?" No thanks." The boy was quick to decline. He knew what they were referring to, and he didn't want to go back to the orphanage after all the effort he went through to escape. "Trust us. It's not what you think." Naruto tried to clear things up. No, those social workers are evil," he said as he inched back a bit. "Thank you for the food, though." "Wait." They weren't able to get another word in as he had already made for a mad dash away from the group. "Dang it," Naruto said. "So much for a new camper." "What was that about?" Percy asked. You felt it too, huh, Naruto? Grover said. Yeah, he was a demigod too, right? Naruto answered. He was? Percy asked for a double take. Then let's go after him. Percy, we just don't have the time, Naruto said. We're on another time-sensitive quest, remember? He'll be alright if he doesn't realize it yet, Grover said. Besides, it's almost time to meet up with the others. Just as Grover said, the girls were already waiting in front of the grocery store. They didn't look happy. So, how are things on your end? Naruto asked as they joined their companions briefly. It's not looking good, Talia said. The clerk said we can call a taxi from Alamogordo down at the bottom of the mountains to come pick us up. It would take an hour just to get here and would cost us several hundreds of dollars. That is not good enough, Zoe said. We have to leave as soon as possible. Who knows what kind of things will find us here? I agree. Naruto nodded. Bianca, what's that? Oh, it's a rubber rat. Bianca showed it to the blonde. It's a rubber rat. I bought it 'cause the clerk looked lonely. There's not enough snow to snowboard anyway, Percy said. Arg, Talia grunted. I'll go ask other stores for other suggestions. But she said, Talia didn't listen. She stamped away, reluctant to stand around waiting for something to happen. After all, she was a demigod too. She too has those battle reflexes that kept half-bloods alive during the battle, but it did them little good when standing idle like times like this. I will go with thee, Zoe offered. Perhaps we can find a car rental or something. Talia nodded, and they left. So, Bianca, what's the story between you and Nico? Percy attempted small talk as they waited around. Yeah, why didn't you recognize that train station yesterday? Grover added in between mouthfuls of napkins and coffee. Mouthfuls of napkins and coffee. Bianca thought for a moment, staring at her cup of hot chocolate. I can't remember exactly, but I can make out a boarding school in D.C. Except, that seems so long ago. How about your mortal parents? Naruto asked. We were told our parents were dead, Bianca explained. Really? Even your mother? Percy asked further. Bianca shook her head. That is typical for demigods, Grover said. The godly parent is presumed to be dead or lost. Both parents in some cases due to unfortunate circumstances. What about any relatives? Naruto added. No, nothing, but there was a lawyer that came once in a while to check on us in the school. He had set up a bank trust for us. I mean a lot of money. Gee, same. Naruto butted in, causing the boys to look at him. Sorry, continue. Well, the lawyer came in one day saying had to leave the school for some reason. Bianca continued. Why? The three boys collectively asked. Bianca knit her eyebrows, trying to dig for the information. I can't remember. All I can recall is that it was important. We traveled a long way, staying in a hotel for a few weeks. You were there, Naruto, for some reason. After that, we found ourselves in Maine. That means you're talking about the Lotus Hotel, Naruto deduced. That would mean you must be from another time, Percy said. Like that guy in the arcade? Bianca regarded the new information. She didn't know what to make of it. It would make sense why she couldn't remember anything. Naruto placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. Welcome to the club. I guess we're both weirdos. Aren't we all? Percy added. Shut up, Percy, Naruto joked. You're from this dimension after all. And time period, Bianca added, trying for a smile. Bianca, Naruto, and Grover laughed at Percy's expense. But then, something happened that none of them ever expected. Grover froze, suddenly stopping from his round of laughter and dropping his cup. Before anyone could ask what was wrong, a warm breeze rustled past them, like Zephyrus had blown his winds, stealing Boris's thunder. Wait, that's Zeus' thing. I mean wind. No, that doesn't make sense. Arg. You know what I mean. A misplaced scent of fresh air permeated everyone's nostrils. Naruto felt it. It was pure nature energy, except it was stronger. He always felt that his sage mode wasn't as strong as in the elemental nations, but this time, when the energy entered his system, He felt stronger than when he entered Sanin Moto in Westover and the Smithsonian. Shortly, the marks of the sage appeared on his eyes, which went unnoticed to his companions. Naruto, you! Bianca wasn't able to finish her sentence as the excitement wasn't yet to die down. The rubber rat sprang to life, causing the youngest demigod to eat in surprise. After escaping her grasp, it scampered off into the trees. Whatever this was, it wasn't done yet. Grover collapsed into the snow, steaming. Even Naruto was, but nobody noticed as they were focused on the satyr. They gathered around him trying to get a word out, but all they got from him was a groan and fluttering eyes. Noticing the commotion, Talia and Zoe came running in towards them. "What did you four do this time?" Zoe asked. "We don't know," Bianca reasoned. "It just happened." "Well, you better get him up," Talia said frantically. "They found us." True to her words, the crackling of bones like the one you hear in horror movies was heard by the group. They turned to see a group of Mexico State Police heading towards them. Since they were demigods, they were able to see through the mist and see that their skin was really transparent and gray, revealing the bone underneath. "The general must have sent them," Percy explained. "We have to hurry." They were chased to the edge of town. They reached the edge of town when the skeleton warriors drew their handguns, ready to fire. Being far away from the civilians, Talia tapped her bracelet in defense and Aegis sprung to life, but the warriors did not flinch. They stood their ground, their eyes bore right through them. Percy drew Riptide, while the girls drew their bows. Naruto drew a kunai and assumed a stance, but Grover swooned and stirred on Naruto's shoulders. Either of the two parties backed down nor made a move, each waiting for the other to make a move. Two more skeletons appeared on the road behind them and drew their own guns. They were now surrounded. "Where did they come from?" Naruto grits his teeth. He was worried about his friends right now. Two of them might have bulletproof clothing, but that only covered so much. And there was also the other two. They may survive a fight with the weapons they are used to, but against guns, Aegis might not be able to block those bullets. He will have to be quick here. He then noticed that one of them brought out a cell phone. Instead of speaking, he made a clattering and clicking sound. Naruto took advantage of this, slowly reached into his pouch without the skellies noticing. "It's near," Grover moaned. "Shut it, Grover," Talia scolded. "Don't make the situation worse." "But the gift of the wild," he insisted. Naruto ignored the scene. With one of them distracted on his phone, and with him already being in sage mode, he sprang into action. Time seemed to slow down as Naruto executed his moves. With an inhuman burst of speed, he took out one skeleton, breaking him into his individual bone fragments. The others, seeing this, fired their weapons to incapacitate the blonde's allies. With their battle reflexes active, Bianca and Percy instinctively absorbed the bullets with their clothing. They were briefly propelled forwards by the momentum, but they were alive. "Oh gods! I'm bulletproof!" Percy cheered and drew Riptide. "Let's—" In multiple flashes of yellow, the skeletons collapsed and broke down similarly to the first one. Naruto stood in front of his friends, his weapons still drawn, like he was ready for another fight. "That was awesome!" Bianca cheered as well for Naruto's accomplishment. Naruto shook his head. "I don't think it's over yet." Indeed, just as the blonde implied, dust swirled around the bones and began to reform. These opponents were more persistent than the regular monsters. At least they would stay dead when you stabbed them. "Let's go," Zoe ordered to her teammates, not wanting to risk any more fighting. They ran as far as their feet could carry, and they could have gotten themselves away too if it not for the reinforcements coming from the trees. Whatever these things were, they were getting too troublesome. "It's getting closer," Grover moaned a lot. "What is?" Naruto demanded. "These keep cutting them off, and it was getting annoying." The ground cracked in the path in front of them as a skeleton hand burst through the dirt. They were the same as the others, with those soulless glaring at them. Bianca was getting better at using her battle senses in this fight as she drew a dagger from the strap at her heel and engaged them in close quarters combat with the skeletons blocking their path. A couple of stabs and parries later, she was able to get a strike in. This one was different though, as the skeleton burst into flames. "How did you do that?" Zoe asked in shock. That was the first successful hit in this fight. Even Naruto wasn't able to do permanent damage. I don't know. Bianca studies her blade. Lucky shot maybe? It's here! Grover moaned more loudly this time. As soon as he said that, an unmistakable sound pierced through the quiet town air. Chapter 14. Campfire Stories in the Middle of Nahar. A boar's cry pierced through the morning air, seemingly coming out of nowhere. What was that? Percy whirled around to find the source of the squeals. It's a gift from the wild. Grover moaned in his trance, and then it came. Small tremors that shook the earth as the boar galloped. The skeletons were sent flying over the trees and over into the side of the mountain. They were smashed to pieces, scattering thigh bones and arm bones all over the place. Luna seemed giddy at the roar of the newcomer. She was taking it as a challenge for a fight. The small puppy lowered her front legs as if ready to pounce on its prey. The massive boar raked its hooves on the ground ready for another charge, and in its path were the party from Camp Half-Blood. They raised their weapons ready for another fight. First, there was the skeletons, now, there's this giant boar. Can't they catch a break? No, apparently not. Grover slowly came to and noticed what his companions were doing. No! Don't kill it! He yelled. That's the Erymanthean boar, Zoe said, keeping the calmness in her voice. I don't think we can kill it. With another loud battle cry, the boar charged and swung its tusks wildly. Everyone dove out of the way, so as not to get trampled by the giant pig or get sent flying by its massive tusks. The small puppy, though, stood its ground and ready for an attack of her own. Naruto had dived for the dire wolf and escaped in a split second with the Hiraishin. This doesn't feel like a gift at all, Percy grumbled. Everyone! Scatter! Zoe ordered. Each of them went their separate ways, confusing the boar for just a moment. Why does it want to kill us? Naruto wondered aloud as he ran alongside Taliah. Probably 'cause it's wild, Grover yelled in response. Fair enough, Naruto muttered in response as he split off from Taliah, causing it to follow him. Why me? Remind me again how this is a gift, Bianca yelled in between breaths as she stopped for a break. As if taking offense from the young demigod's words, the boar switched gears and bounded towards Bianca. Even as a new demigod, she was using her battle reflexes to stay alive. She rolled to safety, causing the massive pork chop plowed through town's sign. That stunned him even for a split second. It immediately regained its consciousness and continued its rampage. Grover danced around the boar trying to play a tune to bind the boar, but it kept ripping the weeds apart. Bianca and Zoe tried to fire pot shots at the boar, careful not to hit a fatal strike. What happened to my luck? Naruto said as he ran. Are you implying I'm unlucky? Taliah glared at the blonde as they both ran side to side. I need to immobilize it. Naruto turned. Come on, NG. As if fate was against him, the sage mode took that moment to dissipate from his system. Oh shit! Why now? Stop fooling around. Taliah scolded as she grabbed Naruto's hand and pulled him into a sprint. I wasn't, Naruto protested. The sage mode just was at its limit. Any other bright ideas? The daughter of Zeus asked. Pretty much soon, they were struggling to run uphill. They weren't the only ones hard up though, 'cause Big O, Bacon was slipping and sliding down as it tried to navigate the steep terrain. The two used the trees as shield from the boar tusks, but it just plowed through them like they were toothpicks on the ground. When they were close to the crest of the hill, Naruto had a mischievous grin on his face. Why do I have a bad feeling from that expression of yours? Taliah asked. Oh, come on, Naruto said. It can't be that bad. I knew it. Taliah shook her head. Quick, spit it out. So, Naruto told Taliah what he planned to do. He finished just as they were at the top. Taliah was shaken when she heard what Naruto wanted to do. Do you trust me? Naruto asked as the daughter of Zeus tried for a response, but she wasn't able to answer as the Erymanthean boar was right at their faces. Scratch that, Naruto said, wrapped an arm around Taliah's waist. Don't worry, I got you. What are you? Talia said as the blonde leaped over the boar as it reached the top of the hill. The boar strained to stab the demigods as they flew over its head, but it didn't notice a clone of Naruto standing on top of the hill. The clone whistled nonchalantly as he pushed the already unbalanced boar, causing it to slide back down to the bottom of the hill. Meanwhile, Talia held on tight as Naruto leaped from tree to tree. She had her eyes shut tightly, still overcome by her fear of heights. A few seconds later, Naruto jumped down the last tree and landed nimbly on the foot of the hill. "You can open your eyes now," he said as he landed. He looked uphill to see that the boar was sliding downhill, plowing through the trees that it didn't knock down. It squirmed as it fell downhill back to the waiting demigods. Talia felt around her. The wind wasn't striking her face anymore, but her heart still beat from the sudden jump. With a deep breath, she slowly let go of Naruto and felt that she was back down on the solid ground. "See, what did I tell you?" Naruto gave him his trademark grin. Talia didn't seem amused. She gave Naruto a small glare and socked him in the arm. "Ow!" Naruto screamed, nursing his shoulder. "You know I'm afraid of heights," Talia scolded. "Well, at least I got to see you scream like a girl," Naruto joked. "What's that supposed to mean?" she asked. "Nothing." Naruto glanced to the side and scratched his cheek. "You just look cute when you're scared." Talia blushed at the compliment. Was that even a compliment, though? She wasn't sure. She didn't have time to think about it as the boar made it down the hill, still on its back, trying its best to get up. Naruto got some ninja wire and immobilized the big OL bacon and turned back to Talia, giving her a nice guy pose. Shortly after, Bianca, Grover, and Zoe came rushing to their aid. "Whoa!" Grover said. "You did it!" "Yeah, but that big OL bacon sure could run," Talia said with a huff. "So what do we do with it?" Bianca asked. "It's a blessing of the wild, our ticket west," Grover declared. "How are you so sure that this pig is our ticket west?" Talia demanded. "It almost skewered us." "I am not sure," Grover answered. It's just that feeling earlier. I wish I could look around further, but the quest, what feeling?" Percy asked, not knowing what they were talking about. "Do you guys know what Grover is talking about? Did you not feel it in the wind?" Zoe said. "I did not think I would feel his presence again." "Who?" Percy still wasn't following. "Who else?" Naruto answered, throwing a glance at the Saturn. Arizona Desert. The boar sure traveled fast. It took them until sunset to make it to a desert area. Their ride there, though, was horrible. Percy described it as riding a giant steel brush over a bed of gravel. Not a comfortable feeling, but who were they to be picky, except for the little puppy, of course. She was still wary of the boar, so she didn't want to get on. Naruto just sighed and told the puppy to keep up if she can. Percy was skeptical about it, but the blonde reassured him. She always somehow could find them. Right now, though, the boar was starting to slow down. It stopped to drink from a muddy puddle and then ripped up a cactus, chewing it like it wasn't pointy at all. "I guess if you're hungry, you're hungry. This is as far as it'll take us," Grover said. "We have to get down while it's eating." Nobody argued. One by one, the demigods slipped down the boar's back as it was ripping up cacti. They waddled away as quietly as possible. After chewing on its third cactus, the animal squealed and belched contentedly. It then whirled around and galloped back the way they came. As their ride made its way back, the shadows contorted and out came their dire wolf chaperone. "How does she do that?" Percy asked. "Is that how we lost her last summer?" Grover tried to cover the son of Poseidon's mouth before he could say that last part. Naruto raised an eyebrow at the two. "Yeah, sorry about that, Naruto," Grover apologized. "We looked everywhere, but we couldn't find her." Naruto shrugged. "Well, it wasn't your fault anyway. I just want to know where she gets that power from." They decided to leave that matter be for the time being. That wasn't the top of their priority list right now, so they looked around. "There's nothing here," Percy said. "You don't say." Bianca chimed in as the group stared at the landscape in front of them. Well, calling it a landscape is giving it too much credit. They stood over a 2-lane road half covered with sand. On one side over the road, There was a small town, if you could call it a town. There was a boarded-up house, a taco shop that looked like it didn't open in forever, and a white stucco post that read, Gila Claw, Arizona. Beyond the town, there were rolling hills. At least they looked like hills. Getting a better look, they saw the hills were made of mounds and mounds of cars, old appliances, and other scrap metal. Something tells me we won't get a rental cars here either, Naruto stated. Gee, what gave it away? Percy said, earning a playful glare from his brother. I don't suppose you have another blessing up your sleeve? Bianca looked at the satyr, hopefully giving emphasis on the word blessing. Grover shook his head. Sorry, like I said earlier, the feeling is gone. We're not getting any more help. Well, that figures. Bianca sighed. The satyr's nose twitched, the way it always did when he detected something wrong. I think we should try another tracking spell. Go ahead. Zoe gave the go signal. The satyr dug a bunch of acorns from his pocket and spread them apart on the ground. He raised his pipes to his lips and played a short melody. The acorns sprang to life and rearranged themselves into two clusters. One group was 6 acorns and one lone acorn that was larger than the others. Grover looked as if his suspicions were confirmed. This right here is us, and this one right here is trouble. Which of them is me? Percy asked. Probably the little deformed one, Naruto joked. Or that could be the... Everyone looked up to the lone hunter as the group. Why are they looking at me like that? Zoe said. Nothing. Naruto spoke for the whole group. In the short time he has come to know the hunter, she has always been serious. Was she warming up to them? Only Zoe could answer that question. How about that one? Bianca asked to break the ice. She was pointing at the lone large acorn that's somehow pointing at the direction of the junkyard. What's that? A monster, probably? Talia offered. Who knows? All I can tell is that our next challenge. He raised his finger to point at the junkyard in front of them. Well, if it's all the same to you guys, I had enough challenges for one day, Naruto suggested, glancing at the lieutenant of his mother's hunt. What do you say, Taicho? I suppose you are right. Zoe nodded. We shall camp here for the night. And so, the group set up their camp for the night. Despite looking like he wasn't prepared at all, his companions were awed when he showed them the wonders of the simple storage scroll. From a simple scroll, he was able to produce a full set of camping gear, enough for the whole group. Zoe was impressed, to say the least. It was similar to her own enchanted camping gear stored in their disappearing backpacks. Wow, you came prepared, Bianca said. Well, you never know when you have to camp out in one of these quests. Naruto shrugged. Being in a desert, you wouldn't expect the place to get chilly at night, so they gathered some busted-up boards from the ruined house to start a fire. After that, Talia used a small electric spark to start a campfire. Pretty much soon, they were getting comfy, well, as comfy as they could in a deserted, run-down ghost town in the middle of nowhere. It was quiet too. Only the sound of the crackling fire and a snoring dire wolf pup were heard that night. The stars are out, Zoe mused as she gazed up in the horizon. Countless stars dotted the sky. Without the city lights polluting the night sky, the beautiful orbs were able to shine in all their glory. It was truly a breathtaking sight to see. I haven't seen so much stars in the sky before. Bianca was wowed by the sight. This is nothing, Zoe said. In the old days, there are a lot more constellations in the night sky, but then humans came along and polluted the sky with their light pollution. Humph, you've got to see the stars in the elemental nations. They're always amazing until now, Naruto bragged. You and the others should go there sometime. If we have the time, Zoe said. There is the hunt and all. Wait, why does it sound like you aren't human? Percy asked, realizing something. I am a hunter. It goes without saying that I care for the wild places, unlike the humans. Can you say the same? Zoe raised an eyebrow. You've got to relearn the language, Zoe, Talia said. It's not thee or thou anymore, it's just you now. Zoe threw her hands up in exasperation. This language changes far too often. Grover gazed up at the night sky once again. If only Pan was here. He would know what to do. He would make things right. Zoe nodded in agreement. It must have something to do with the coffee. Grover muttered. Yeah, it must be it. Perhaps I should drink more. I don't think that's it, Grover. Naruto shot down his idea. But it's the only lead I've got. He reasoned. What else could it be? Was that really Pan who sent us help? Percy asked. Maybe you just want it to be the case. Everyone contemplated on everything that happened, the mysterious wind, the toy rat coming to life, Naruto going into sage mode. He sent us help. Grover reaffirmed his beliefs. He was more determined than ever. I don't know why, but it was his presence. It's the closest feeling I got, even closer than when I sensed the golden fleece on Polyphemus's island. Yeah, when you almost got married. Naruto snickered, causing the satyr to blush up to his ears. Did you say married? Bianca asked, curious about the sudden gossip and the satyr's reaction. How did that happen? No. It's nothing. Grover stood up abruptly, waving his hands in front of him. Percy chuckled and changed the subject. Whatever that was, it sure was a big help to us, especially against the skeletons. Speaking of the skeletons, Talia began. What's your dagger made of? She asked, the youngest demigod of the group. Yeah, how did you do that? Naruto asked. No matter how many times we knocked them down, they kept coming back up. Bianca shrunk into her lion's coat. Everyone had their eyes on her. She wasn't used with all the attention. I don't know. Honest. Maybe it has something to do with your knife? Percy offered. It's the same dagger from the camp shed, the same as everyone else's. I don't think this is the reason. Bianca reasoned. Perhaps you hit a weak point or something like that. Zoe offered. I don't know, maybe. Her voice trailed off. Seeing Bianca get uncomfortable by the constant barrage of questions, Naruto saw it fit to change the subject. No more of the doom and gloom stuff about the quest. Hey, I just realized. Naruto began breaking the ice. It's almost Christmas. The others came to the same realization, except for Zoe. Flashes of the signs and decorations they passed came to mind. They were so absorbed into the quest that they didn't even notice the festivities. I don't suppose anyone has any plans this year? Percy asked. Nah, now that my mom's no longer with us, Talia said with sadness in her voice. I don't have anywhere to go to. Same here, Bianca said. Why don't you guys join us on Christmas Eve? Naruto suggested. Mom will be more than happy to have guests over, right, Percy? Of course, Percy chimed. My mom is the best cook. Though, I would have to warn you now to not be surprised at the food. Naruto snickered, glancing at the food. In the house, blue food is perfectly normal. Hey! You make Mom dye the food orange too! Percy protested. Talia, Bianca, and Grover chuckled at the two boys' interaction as they made their plans. Zoe, though, was feeling left out at the conversation. She's been in the hunt for millennia now. Never in her life had she planned for something like this. Well, to be fair, she was older than the very concept of Christmas, but still. You guys can come too if you want, Naruto finally said. Zoe looked up. Huh? I mean, you guys are my sisters. I'm sure she wouldn't mind meeting you guys. I mean, she accepted me into their home even before she adopted me. Naruto said. There was that word again. This boy, no matter how mean they were to him, he never retaliated. He was hoping that they would accept him. We'll have to tell the mistress, she said, her voice trailing off. In any case, we should plan our next move. Her voice picked up once again, trying to change the subject. Once we get past this junkyard, we can hitchhike to the nearest city. That would probably be Las Vegas. The three boys exchanged looks and simultaneously let out a round of nervous laughs, causing the girls to give them odd looks. Only Bianca seemed to get what was happening. Why? Was it something I said? Zoe inquired. Why don't we choose another city? Naruto suggested. What's wrong with Las Vegas? Talia asked, getting curious. Percy and Grover glanced at Naruto, the rest following suit. This prompted him to scratch the back of his head sheepishly. Well, he began. To illustrate his point, he dug his pockets and produced his platinum card with a lotus logo on it. Bianca shuddered at the thought. I agree with Naruto. We should look for another place to pass through and avoid the whole city altogether. Trust us, you don't want to go near the Lotus Hotel. Wait, what's the Lotus Hotel? Talia asked, still not getting the point. Why are we avoiding it? That place is where the Lotus Eaters chose to set up shop when everything migrated to America. Grover explained. I hate that place, Percy said. We ended up rushing the completion of our quest a couple of years ago when we stayed there for 5 days, even though it only felt like an hour. If that place is so bad, then why do you keep the cash cards, Naruto? Everyone turned the blonde. Hey! Who am I to refuse free money? Naruto shrugged. Besides, I'm fine as long as I don't enter the hotel. He then perked up as if remembering something important. Hey, wait a minute. What's up? Percy asked. If Bianca is from the 1900s or something like that, should we call you Bachan? Naruto joked, but it flew right over their heads, not understanding the word. What does that mean? Grover voiced everyone's question. It means old lady. Zoe translated. Hey! Bianca protested, throwing a marshmallow at the blonde. I may be from 1930, but I don't look old. Do you see wrinkles anywhere? Naruto chuckled. Sorry, I could help it. If anything, Zoe. Percy began writing on Naruto's joke, but Grover placed a hand on his shoulder, telling him to watch his words carefully. Look, man, Grover warned. You don't want to go there. After another round of laughter and slurps of their coffee, they were hit by the blazing headlights of a limousine that appeared out of nowhere. Everyone grabbed their stuff and moved out of the way as the luxury car screeched to a halt in front of them. The back door of the car opened. Everyone drew a weapon just in case what emerged from the limo was not friendly. Before Percy could react, an invisible force grabbed him and slammed him onto the car. This caused everyone to tense and grab their weapons ready to attack whatever it was. Geez, can't a god get any respect around here? A gruff voice that Percy and Naruto knew all too well said as it descended the car. Stand down. With a wave of his hand, all the weapons dropped to the ground. Ares-sama. Naruto grit his teeth upon recognizing the big and burly man that came out of the limo. What do you want, Lord Ares? Grover confronted the god. Relax, goat boy. This is a friendly meeting, Ares said. Of course, I would very much like to take your heads as trophies, but I don't behead people in front of a lady. Oh, don't mind us, Talia said sarcastically. We'll be fine. Ah, my little half-sister, I heard you were back. Ares looked her over, releasing his grip on the son of Poseidon. So, how was it like being a tree? Word on the street is you're dating Whisker Face over here. That's not true. Naruto and Talia snapped as they blushed furiously. Great, 'cause that would be a horrible idea. Ares shook his head. Not very good company at all. Thou still haven't told us what thou want. Talia reminded him. What is thy business here? Don't worry, I doubt she came here to see you. Ares waved her off. She came here for these two? Naruto and Percy looked at each other with the same question bugging their mind. What? Later it wasn't so bad. Ares got everyone to agree by giving them free tacos for dinner. Even Grover, who was skeptical at first, was the first to run into the taqueria at the mention of enchiladas. So much for being cautious. You could just imagine the look on his face when he learned that there was all-you-can-eat enchiladas being served. So now, everyone was picking at their food. Well, everyone except Grover, who slurped his enchiladas like there was no tomorrow as they waited for Percy, who was sitting in the car talking to Ares' girlfriend. Is there something we should be worried about? Bianca asked to break the ice. As long as Percy minds his manners, he won't get turned into a frog, Grover said in between mouthfuls. Who are we talking about here? She asked again, curious to find out. Only the most insufferable goddess there is, and the most dangerous, Grover added. Aphrodite. At the mention of her name, Percy entered the taco shop with a faraway look on his face. Yo, Percy! Naruto greeted with tacos still in his mouth. How'd it go? Good, I guess. He looked at Naruto with a hint of bitterness that quickly disappeared. By the way, you're up. Naruto stood up and stretched. Alright, let's get this over with. As he walked to Takar, he saw Ares sneering at him. Once he was close, the god of war spoke up. Careful, brat. This is one goddess you don't want to anger. A lot worse than even you. Naruto feigned surprise. Watch your mouth, punk, I still have that curse on you. Ares glared at him. Before things could escalate, the door opens and a chill ran up the god's spine. What's taking so long? A sweet voice came from the inside of the car. Right, I'll get him inside. He answered and gestured Naruto to enter the limo. Funny, something actually scared the god. Naruto chuckled to himself as he sat inside. When he turned to look at who will speak to him, he almost choked on his spit. If you were to describe her, I guess you could say, breathtaking. Uzumaki Naruto, she said, addressing the boy. It's so nice to finally meet you. Chapter 15. The Junkyard of the Gods. YWN. Nico stretched as he entered cabin 11 to turn in for the night. It was a tiring day as usual. That new teacher sure worked everyone hard. Sure, there were complaints here and there, but they knew it was for their own good. Inside cabin 11, though, the campers there seemed to always have energy left for pranks and jokes despite how hard they worked. Wait till they come back in the summer, Travis joked to his brother. I'll say, Connor chuckled. They'll be in for a surprise when they get here. Yeah, I bet they'll regret coming back, Travis said back. In any case, Travis clapped his hands together. Everyone, get ready for bed. We are in for another heck of a day tomorrow. Nico watched the counselors exchange as he sat on his sleeping bag on the floor. What happened next, though, chilled him to the bone. As he sat there getting ready for bed, a chill ran up his spine, followed by a whisper that spoke next to his ear. Nico. The young demigod turned around to check who was behind him, but only saw one of his cabin mates giving him an odd look. What's wrong? You look like you've seen a ghost, he asked. The counselors noticed this and walked over to him to make sure he was okay. Is something bothering you, Nico? The said demigod was pale after what happened, but he tried to keep a brave face. I don't suppose this camp is haunted, is it? Travis and Connor shared a look and turned back to him. Do you have any missing stuff? Travis asked. Nico shook his head. No, it's just, I don't know what that was. Well, if it makes you feel better, in my time in this cabin, I've never once felt anything weird or creepy. Connor reassured the boy. I assure you, if your stuff is mysteriously missing, that's the work of one of my siblings, not some ghost, alright? Travis added. Nico pushed the encounter to the back of his mind. Without anything to explain what happened, he just shrugged it off and did as his seniors told. Alright, lights out everyone, Connor announced. Nico got as comfortable as he could in the sleeping bag and drifted off into dreamland. Instead of his usual dreamless sleep, though, he now found himself face to face with someone he didn't know. Before him stood a very tall, imposing man in white robes with a thin royal circlet of gold resting on his head. He had a beard that was pointed like a spear blade, and cruel glittering eyes. His body shimmered for a second, showing Nico that the being that stood in front of him wasn't human. Nico D'Angelo, the ghost said. We meet at last. Who are you? Nico confronted the man/ghost. How do you know who I am? The man/ghost raised his hand to stop the boy from barraging him with questions. Relax, Nico. I am only here to talk. What do you want from me? Nico asked. Well, where do I begin? Gila Claw, Arizona Naruto had to slap himself for a second there. For a moment, the lady in front of her looked like Sakura. Then, as fast as Sakura's face appeared, the lady's appearance was changed to a girl with long black hair with bangs that swept on each side of her face and violet blue eyes. She was wearing makeup consisting of pink eyeshadow and red lipstick. She was wearing a green blouse over a pink jacket with brown gloves. Naruto could have sworn he remembered this face from somewhere. He must have just forgotten the name. That face too was changed to a face of Annabeth, then the face of an actress that he and Percy saw in a movie once. You get the picture. Long story short, it was like looking at a kaleidoscope of ever-changing faces. He found himself ogling at the lady in front of him. So he focused himself and once again looked at the lady in front of him. In doing so, he noticed that the family resemblance. He remembered that one cabin in camp, the cabin that had all but created a fan club for him. Aphrodite-sama. Naruto bowed as well as he could while he sat in the car. To what do I owe this meeting? Oh, nothing special. Aphrodite shrugged. I was on a date with Ares when he happened to come across you lot in the middle of nowhere. Right. Naruto bought the goddess explanation. So I heard you went back to the elemental nations for a vacation. Aphrodite continued. How did you like my little surprise for you when you got there? What do you mean? He asked, not knowing what she was talking about. Oh, come on, you can be honest with me. The goddess giggled. Aren't you wondering why somebody suddenly turned to Mr. Popular when you went home? Wait. The memories suddenly were accessed in the blonde's mind, Sakura not once pummeling him to death every time he breathes in her general direction, the jealous glances she was giving to Leah when they went out with Grover, Ino suddenly asking him to go for some barbecue, Hinata awkwardly trying to talk to him. No, wait. That was normal. Well, that was it actually. That was you? Naruto inquired. Why, yes, of course. She confirmed. After breaking hearts, the next thing on my list is a love rivalry, because, you know, nothing beats the drama of a little love rivalry. Naruto sighed. No wonder they were all over me all of a sudden. He pushed that thought aside. This must have been what Sasuke felt with all the fangirls chasing, though to a lesser extent, less extreme extent. Surely that's not the only thing you wanted to talk to me about, he said, eager to change the subject. Well, that sounds about it. Aphrodite shrugged. For a second there, I thought you came to help on the quest. Naruto's body drooped for a moment. The quest for Artemis? The goddess frowned. Frankly, I couldn't care less about her. She's always a hopeless case, always blowing off love ever since, ahem. Naruto cleared his throat, getting the love goddess's attention. With all due respect, Aphrodite-sama, you are kind of forgetting who you're talking to here. Aphrodite chuckled nervously. Oh right, sorry, force of habit. I meant no offense though. I just meant that if they were to kidnap a goddess, why not kidnap someone with more finesse, so we could have a real damsel in distress? I still don't follow. Naruto stared at her with a deadpan expression. Well, I am here to offer some advice. Aphrodite chuckled nervously. When you learn to love, you are prone to heartbreak when you lose that love. Probably the reason why the other girls joined the hunt. Naruto interjected, causing goddess to pause. In playing with their love lives, you are kinda helped your so-called enemy. That's. Aphrodite looked away, puffing her cheeks in annoyance. You have a point, it was just a theory, you know. Naruto quickly dropped for fear of angering the goddess. In the process, he let out his verbal tick. Right, anyway. She continued. Love can also heal wounds open from past heartaches. And you're telling me this because? Naruto pressed for an answer. Well, the love goddess winked. That would be spoiling the fun now, would it? Naruto pouted at the cryptic answer. Any more vague messages I should know about? Oh, come on. Don't be like that. The Olympian waved him off. I have just one more warning. I already told Percy this, but I think I should tell you this as well. Beware of my husband's junkyard. He is a little fussy about the trash he throws there. Figures. Naruto looked over to the junkyard, then turned back to the goddess. Speaking of your husband, no offense, but for a love goddess, you seem to love to ignore your husband so much and go fool around with Ares. You make yourself seem like a lust goddess instead of love. Naruto said, making sure to put up the silent seals to prevent the eavesdropper from listening in. Choose your next words carefully, demigod. She answered. You must be forgetting who you are speaking with. I beg your pardon if I stepped out of line, Aphrodite-sama, but I am merely stating some facts. Naruto apologized. Do you really love your husband? Well, this had been the arrangement for millennia. I leave him to his little workshop, and I can go on as much dates I want," she explained. "Besides, it's pretty much obvious that he prefers his machines more than me. But I must admit, that old fool can be thoughtful at times. He does give me those wonderful gifts. After millennia, even a girl like me was slowly falling even though the marriage was forced." Aphrodite mused to herself. "Though, it is hard to talk to him at times. I just can't stand to see what Hera did to him." "Still, that doesn't excuse you cheating on him, does it?" Naruto said. "And here I thought love was supposed to be on what's the inside and not solely on what's on the outside." Aphrodite was silent. She stared at this mere mortal who was schooling her on her love life and on her domain as well. "Is that all you want to say? If your only problem is his appearance, then couldn't gods change their appearance? Or if he really couldn't, maybe Uncle Apple could do something about it," Naruto suggested. The love goddess gained a thoughtful expression. She had just purposefully went astray just based on appearance alone, and never once thought for a fix. The answer to hers and Hephaestus's marital problem was within her reach all along, and she never once thought about it. "You know, I haven't even considered that." "Very well, Naruto, you may go." With that, Naruto bowed and proceeded to open the car door, only to hear someone groan in pain. The owner of said voice immediately got on his feet and grabbed Naruto by the collar of his shirt. "Why, you little... Hey! How was I supposed to know you were peeping on the window like that?" Naruto defended himself. "Ahem." Aphrodite cleared her throat, causing the god of war to soften. "So, are you ready for the reservation tonight?" Ares asked with a sly voice. "Or do you want to skip it and move straight to the spicy stuff?" "Maybe we could skip the spicy stuff and just have dinner tonight," Aphrodite countered. Don't be like that," Ares pushed. "I know you like it too." "I changed my mind. I'm not in the mood anymore." Aphrodite shrugged. But the plans," Ares sputtered. "Plans change," she said. Ares frowned and glared at the blonde spectator. You have something to do with, don't you?" "What?" Naruto gave him an odd look. "Why are you blaming your sex life problems on me?" Ares fumed, but he immediately backed down when Aphrodite once again cleared her throat. "Ahem, are you going to keep me waiting all night? I'm hungry and impatient." The war god slammed the door shut, but the window lowered and Aphrodite got one last word out. "Take care, Naruto. I have so many plans for you. Don't die tonight." And with that, the limousine sped off. Naruto turned to his friends. Luna didn't seem to be happy that Ares was with them, so Bianca had to stop the dog from getting on the god of war's bad side. So, there they were standing in front of where the taco restaurant should be, but it was gone. Not just that, the whole town was gone. "What did you two do for the love goddess to want to talk to you?" Bianca asked. Naruto and Percy looked at each other, with a look of understanding between the two boys. They didn't want to tell them about what they talked about with the love goddess. Only Grover was the one who shared the two boys' look. Thanks to the empathy link he set up with his two best friends, he could read the two boys' emotions, so he had an idea on how the conversation went. Thank the gods, though, he didn't say anything. He just held the contented look on his face. The same face he had after Enchilada Day in Yancy Academy. But it was much, much better. She came to give a warning about the junkyard. It was Naruto who began earning a bark from their group's mascot. Zoe narrowed her eyes. "Aphrodite would not make a special trip to meet the two of you just to tell you that." "I agree with Zoe," Talia added. "You can't trust her. There might be a catch to whatever it is she offered you. So, I don't suppose any of you still want to camp here any longer?" Percy changed the subject in order to stop any more questions about their conversation. "You think that town had GGG ghosts?" Naruto stuttered out as he remembered the town had disappeared. Talia gave Naruto a teasing look. "So, the great Naruto is actually afraid of something. I guess I have something to hold over your head now." "Shut up," Naruto sputtered out in his native language, but he quickly snapped back with a dramatic finger pointed at the daughter of Zeus. "You're not one to talk." "Geez, I'm kidding." Talia ruffled the blonde's head. Besides, it was most probably the god's magic that created the abandoned town and caused it to disappear. Naruto cleared his throat, finally calming down. I knew that. With a loud sigh, Zoe hit both with the side of her hands, causing the two to glare at the hunter. Oh, they both said. That will be enough out of the two of you lovebirds, Zoe said with that last part filled with venom in her voice. It's best we keep moving. But does anybody have a compass? Percy asked hopefully. Unnecessary, Zoe said, like Percy should know about this, and motioned over to the right direction. West is in that direction. Wow. That was awesome, Bianca said. How did you know? Ursa Major, right? Naruto answered for their team captain. That constellation is in the north. Where? Percy said, trying to look for any signs of a bear in the sky. I'm surprised you know about that, Zoe said. I thought that would be in the same boat as that boy. Well, I didn't stay up the roofs of Yanxi Academy just staring at the stars at night, Naruto explained. I don't see it in the sky, but you are talking about the bear thing, right? Percy said. Treat the bear with some respect. It was a worthy opponent. Zoe took offense with the words that the son of Poseidon's words said. Did you happen to fight that bear a long time ago? Naruto asked curiously. I did, but that is not important. Zoe closed the matter. We best go. Lead the way. Zoe led them towards the direction she pointed at. The path led them to a gate that a regular mortal would just look over, but if you were a demigod, you would definitely notice the Eta symbol etched on one of the posts, confirming Aphrodite's warning from earlier that this was her husband's junkyard. They decided not to destroy the gate, so as not to incur the wrath of the smith god. Luckily for them, Talia knew her way around a lock. Perhaps her time on the run as a kid had taught her some street smarts. Anyway, they entered the junkyard and immediately replaced the lock to how they found it. From there, it was a straight shot through the winding paths in between the mountains of refuse. You smell something funny, girl? Naruto asked his pup, but she shook his head. At one time while they were walking, Talia had to slap Grover's hand from almost snacking on a solid gold crown that looked like it had been split by an axe. Did you already forget her warning, goat boy? Talia slapped Grover in the back of his head, causing him to spit out the bit he chewed off. Sorry, I get hungry when I'm nervous, Grover apologized. But you just ate a ton, Bianca said in disbelief. Well, that's one of the wonders of Grover's stomach, Naruto joked, causing the goat to blush. You're one to talk, Grover countered. You eat just as much as me. That's. Naruto didn't get to think of a comeback as Zoe shushed them, reminding them that they are in unfamiliar territory and they must be on guard against whatever might attack them in the middle of nowhere. Hey! They were demigods. It's part of the job description. They continued walking through the junkyard, trying to keep the satyr in line. It was certainly a hard time. His hands always managed to have something to munch on, which Naruto and Talia would catch him almost biting a chunk out of. I can't believe this stuff is junk, Bianca commented. You think the stuff is real gold? As enticing it is to look at, those things are thrown here for a reason, Naruto said. He is right. Zoe nodded. As the love goddess had said, anything thrown here must stay here. It might be defective, or worse, cursed. I see. Bianca was about to leave the topic be when he saw a weapon similar to what was slung over Hunter's shoulder. Hey, look! Isn't that a hunter's bow? Zoe studied the bow. Her expression held a hidden pain that she didn't want to show to the rest of the group. It was like she had held the bow's owner in her arms as her life escaped her mortal flesh. This one didn't go unnoticed to the blonde, who placed a comforting hand on her shoulder, earning a glare from Hunter's lieutenant. Okay, maybe she's not warming up to him yet. Eep! Bianca broke them from a near confrontation when she jumped. When her fingers were mere inches from the silver weapon, the bow suddenly shrunk to hair clip, causing her to jump. We should keep moving, Zoe said as she knocked Naruto's hand off her shoulder. Deciding to let that one go, Naruto joked as they began to get on the move again. Say, if Grover accidentally eats some cursed stuff, should we just leave him here? Suddenly, Spitting noises were heard from the satyr who had just bit the top of a battle axe. Did you say CC cursed? Don't worry, man. Naruto continued. A little curse won't keep you down, right? Not funny, man, Grover said, throwing the axe back to the pile. Needless to say, Grover kept his hands to himself for the rest of the way out of the junkyard. Percy gained a smug expression as they saw the end of the junkyard within sight. He said, That was easy. Maybe that tracking spell was. He didn't get to finish his statement as he was slapped at the back of the head by an angry daughter of Zeus. Don't jinx us, seaweed brain. I guess he didn't learn his lesson from that bus incident, Naruto added. What? Bianca asked. A bus had blow up cause Percy jinxed us, Naruto explained. Hey, that wasn't my fault. How was I supposed to know the the kindly ones were going to find us? Percy defended himself. You blew up a bus? Bianca almost screamed. Why'd you? No, we didn't, Naruto explained. Long story short, a fight broke out, and a lightning bolt blew up the bus cause something was trying to kill Percy. I don't know if I want to hear this or not, Bianca said, not sure of what to make of the new tidbit of information she just gained. Well, that's in the past now, Grover shrugged. We can tell you the story after this quest. At the end of that conversation, they were face to face with something that looked like a metal mesa that was the size of a football field. At one end of the mesa was a row of 10 thick metal columns wedged together, almost like. They looked like toes. Bianca frowned. Really, really large toes, Grover corrected. The veterans of the group shared nervous looked. Let's go around, Talia suggested. Far around. But the exit is right there, Percy protested. Bong everyone drew their weapons as a low hollow sound came from the direction of the feet. Grover had a sheepish look on his face. What did you do? Zoe demanded. Nothing. Grover copied Naruto's signature expression. I just don't like fake feet. Zoe bought the satyr's excuse and turned to the son of Poseidon. She is right, boy. We must avoid it. Percy looked to Naruto to see if someone might get on his side, but even he agreed with the two. He sent one last look at the giant toes and said, Fine. After a few minutes of more walking later, they made it to the last hurdle to get out of the junkyard. It was a massive mountain of garbage blocking the way. They looked left and right, but they were surrounded by more mounds of garbage. Looks like we're climbing, Naruto said. Nobody answered. There was nothing they can do, but Percy looked like he wanted to say that they should have just left the compound earlier. He was holding it in though. Luna was a surprisingly great climber. She scaled the mountain of garbage ahead of her companions so fast that she was the first to reach the peak and slide down to the other side. Grover was quick too. Maybe the goat in him allowed him to do so. Who knows? He was followed by Zoe, who Naruto made go ahead, Talia and Percy, and lastly Naruto, who was helping Bianca climb the thing. The blonde decided not to use his ninja skills to make the job easier this time so that he can teach Bianca how to climb. She has got to learn her life skill, you know. Zoe, now, was almost to the top of the mountain of garbage. As she was about to grab onto the last piece of garbage and pull herself up to the peak, the appliance she was stepping on broke off. She lost her footing because of that, causing her to fall back down. She was about to right herself and grab onto something when she felt a hand grab onto her wrist. It was Naruto, looking relieved that he made it in time. He had let Bianca hold on tight to something so he could reach out. Whoa, are you okay? As soon as he said that, a familiar voice spoke in her head. What's the matter, pretty one? Her expression steeled as bitter memories flooded her mindscape. She regained her footing and yanked her hand from the blonde. Mind thy own business next time. I can handle myself, Zoe said. Naruto decided to let it go, seeing the pained expression on her face. Gotcha. Naruto. The blonde looked back to Bianca. Her hands were now trembling, unable to carry herself longer. I can't hold it any longer. Don't worry, I got you, Naruto said, holding on to the younger demigod so he could assist her in her ascent. They resumed their climbing in silence. Only Bianca's breaths could be heard that night. She was still a newbie at this. She got tired easily. Over with Zoe, she seemed to get angrier by the thoughts that had been returning to his head somehow. Do not worry, pretty one. The voice said. It was painful to remember, but why was it coming back now of all times? Did her mistress's child have something to do with this? Was it because he reminded her of him? All boys are the same, so it makes sense, right? She shook those thoughts out of her head. That is not the way to think, especially in the middle of this quest. She could sort this out later. When she came to, she made it down the mountain. She looked up and saw Bianca enjoying herself as she slid down the mountain. See, that was fun, right? Naruto told the younger demigod. That was hard, but I kind of enjoyed it too. Bianca answered. I am just glad we finally made it out of the junkyard. Zoe said. That was a cue for a series of events to occur. A sound that was very reminiscent of something booting up pierced throughout the quiet night. The mountains of garbage began to boil, like something buried under them was whirring to like. It was then that Grover realized. Wait, those things really were toes. If that's the case, then we're doomed, Talia said. We should run for it, Percy suggested. Way ahead of you. Chapter 16. Bianca's Decision. Aphrodite entered the quarters he and Hephaestus shared. She was rarely in here, but that's a gross understatement. The proper word was she was never in here, and so was her husband. Well, she couldn't blame him though. She decided to check the forge that Hephaestus built in their temple, but he wasn't there either. Figures, she muttered under her breath. I wonder which forge he would be at today. Seeing as she had no leads on her husband's location, she decided to ask the one goddess who would know his location, so she headed for the throne room. It was an uneventful walk there. There were minor gods ogling her, the usual. What bothered her though was why a certain population wasn't head over heels for her. You know who I'm talking about, the satyrs. She overheard one of them talking worriedly to his peers about the missing goddess. HMP, what did that Artemis have that she didn't for those goats to attract their attention? Was it because she's into nature? Maybe maybe she didn't care about being popular that much. Besides, there was a smith god to find. Getting lost in her thoughts, she finally found herself in the throne room. She spotted who she was looking for, a little girl sitting in the middle in front of the hearth roasting a marshmallow, and a jar of nectar beside her. Aphrodite, the little girl greeted. What brings you here? I thought you would be with Ares at this time. Silly Hestia, can't a wife see her husband once in a while? She waved off the girl's remark. Actually, I was looking for Hephaestus. Do you know where he is? Hestia turned to her with a deadpan expression. Who are you and what have you done with Aphrodite? Oh, Hestia. Aphrodite giggled. You and your silly jokes. I'm serious. Hestia's expression remained unchanged. What devil from Tartarus possessed you to finally take interest in your husband? Come on, can't you help out a wife who is looking for her husband? Aphrodite said with sincerity in her voice. Aphrodite noticed this and considered her request. If you're really that sincere in seeing him, come on, I'll take you to him, in one condition. Anything you want, Aphrodite said. You buy me some ramen at Ichiraku. One of Hephaestus's forge's current location, unknown. Hephaestus, I'm coming in. Hestia called out as she pushed the doors open. Oh, yeah? Hephaestus grunted, not bothering to look up since he was used to the goddess of the hearth visiting him from time to time. Someone's here to see you, Hestia said. Really, who? He finally looked up from his latest project, but his questions were answered when he took a whiff of a familiar scent of perfume. Aphrodite, what are you doing here? Hephaestus asked, not used to her presence. You're usually getting caught in my traps at this time. Is that how you greet your wife? Aphrodite puffed her cheeks in a hurt expression. I came to see you, duh. Hephaestus' expression shrunk to a deadpan expression, the same way Hestia did earlier. Who are you and what have you done with Aphrodite? Why does everyone assume I'm an imposter? The love goddess wondered aloud. Can't a wife just come looking for her husband? Face it, Aphrodite, Hestia said. After all those millennia of the reputation you've built, You suddenly taking interest in Hephaestus is suspicious, don't you think? She is right, you know. Hephaestus nodded. Fine, I get it. She relented. But even we gods can change, right? I suppose I can hear you out, Hephaestus said, putting down his goggles and the project he was working on. What is it that you needed? Aphrodite walked forward and pulled the smith god to his feet. Go clean yourself up. I have a surprise for you. You better not be trying to get back at me for those times I caught you in those traps. Hephaestus scratched his head. Aphrodite shook her head. I promise, it's nothing like that. You'll see, you won't regret it. You better be right about this one. Arizona desert, why does this keep happening to us? Percy said as he sped off as far away from the junkyard as possible. Someone must have taken something. Zoe started turning her head to Percy. Who? Hold on a sec, why me? Percy protested. Now, we shouldn't point fingers. Naruto appeased his companions. Let's get as far away from here as we can. I don't think we can. Talia yelled. Look! She was looking back at what they might be facing. She saw it. Whatever it was as tall as a big house sitting up, but her eyes widened when it sat up. Looking at it now, its head could easily reach the tops of the skyscrapers. The odd thing was his face was deformed, and its left side was partially melted off. It looked like an old defective model covered in a thick film of dust. Someone also found it a good idea to write the words "Wash me" using the dust. It stood at full height as if scanning its surroundings, as if looking for something. What is that thing? Percy asked. It can't be. Zoe's eyes widened seeing the machine. Talos is here? Talos? Who's that? Percy prodded further, not recognizing the name. Talos is the giant hunk of junk on our tails right now. Naruto explained. It's one of Hephaestus's creations. But that can't be the real deal. Talia added. It's too small. It might be a prototype or a defective model. At the mention of the word, it drew its sword. As it did, the metal screeched on the sheath, causing a loud sound that hurt everyone's ears. The blade may have been dull, but one hit from that thing would squash them like a bug. The machine seemed to whir to life as it took its first steps, one of which covering half the distance the demigods traveled in. It's no use, Naruto said. We have to fight. I need to enter sage mode. Naruto began sitting down to enter a meditative stance. This is no time to meditate, Talia said. Look out! Naruto's eyes widened when he saw the massive sword ready to slam it on the ground. Scatter! Zoe ordered, and they both ran in the opposite directions just as the giant's foot set down over their heads. Everyone drew their weapons. Talia raised her shield as she bounded straight down the highway. Bianca and Zoe readied their bows. The latter fired multiple arrows at their opponent to somehow get its attention, but her projectiles were like mosquitoes flying to its face that shattered upon impact. The automaton slashed its barely missing Grover, but it destroyed the power lines that were unfortunately in the way. Man, I feel bad for whoever was going to lose power. Talos spotted the satyr running towards the mounds of metal, so its instincts told it to guard the junk. Grover brayed as he dove inside the huge pile of refuse just as the rusted metal sheared off the top of the mound. Naruto found himself with Bianca. She had been silent ever since Talos came to life. She looked guilty. Then it dawned on him. Bianca, don't tell me! Naruto began. No! The demigod's voice quivered. She turned her back on the blonde and tried to get away. Naruto grabbed Bianca's shoulder and turned her around. When he saw her face, his expression softened. There were tears welling up on the side of her eyes, threatening to fall. Tell me, what did you take? Naruto ordered. His voice was stern but calm. Bianca stuttered out. She couldn't find the words to tell Naruto. She dug into her to show the blonde the trinket, but before she could, a loud commotion was heard. Naruto peeked over and saw power lines break apart from the giant as it broke free from its bindings. Apparently, Talos demolished some towers and Grover took advantage of it and used his woodland magic to tie the robot up. Damn it, Naruto said as he looked back at Bianca. Bianca was holding out a small statue. He recognized it as one of the figurines from the little boy's favorite game. "I'm sorry, I just thought, Nico, I see," the blonde said. Percy burst through the pile as another mound was sheared off. "What are you two?" Percy began, but he stopped when he saw what was on Bianca's hand. "How could you think of mythomagic at a time like this?" "Unless, save it, Percy," Naruto said. "But she—" Percy tried to protest, but Naruto interrupted it with a raise of his hand. "I know, but we'll just have to get out of this," the blonde answered with a confident grin. "Why, you're not mad at me?" Bianca said, wiping the tears on her eyes. "You're just looking out for your little bro, right?" Naruto patted the younger demigod on her head, ruffling her hair. "Now, let's finish this thing." Boom! The sound of a thunderclap shook the battlefield, followed by an explosion and a loud thump. Talia lowered her spear and studied the opponent. Her attack caused Talos to collapse down to the ground, but it only managed to get back up. It seemed to have done nothing but annoy the giant, though you can't see it on its face. The automaton raised its boot to crush the offending demigod for daring to blast it with lightning. Fortunately, the massive size also meant it was slow, so Talia was able to dodge easily. As Talos did this, Percy and Naruto spotted something under the robot's boot. "That's a stupid design, no offense, Hephaestus-sama," Naruto said, eyeing the boot. "Are you thinking what I'm thinking?" Percy looked at his adopted brother. "That's a stupid idea, Percy," Naruto said. "We'll just get crushed. Besides, it's too small for us to fit." "I can fit," Bianca suggested. Naruto stared at her like she grew a second head, then he began to protest. "No, no, 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 it's too dangerous. You don't tell me what I can and can't do. I'm technically older than you." Bianca managed to tease the blonde and act bravely in the face of the situation. "Besides, it's my fault the monster is after us. It's my responsibility to stop this thing." Naruto was about to refuse, but Bianca had a determined look on her face. She wouldn't take no for an answer. She grabbed Naruto's hand. "I can do this." Naruto sighed. "Let's get its attention." "Are you sure about this?" Percy asked. He didn't get to answer as Bianca rushed the bot. "Bianca! What are you doing?" Zoe yelled, seeing the charging girl. Naruto rushed through some hand seals and slammed his fists on the ground. "Doton, Sando no Jutsu!" Two massive rock formations rose from the ground, sandwiching the automaton in between them. Though, the AI on this thing was good. It used its sword to break the other one. It moved to slice the other one, but the power lines came to life once again and tied him to the rock. "Get it to raise its foot," Bianca said as she jogged. Naruto, Talia, and Zoe each shot their attacks. A small part of Talia wished that this did the trick, but it was too good to be true. They just managed to knock it down momentarily, but like the persistent bug it is, it got back up again. "What is that thing made of?" Talia asked. "Beats me," Naruto shrugged. "That's a god's creation for you." They watched as Percy sliced the bot's big toe and sent taunts towards it. Unfortunately for Percy, Talos seemed offended by the insults. It raised its foot to crush the son of Poseidon, but it stopped midway. "What happened?" Zoe asked. "Did we do it?" Naruto shook his head. "No, Bianca did." "Thank the gods." Talia let out a sigh of relief. "Where is she, though?" "She's inside the thing," Naruto answered. "What?" With Binca, thanks to their efforts in knocking the huge automaton down, Bianca was able to take advantage of the momentary opening to open the hatch and enter. It was a good thing it wasn't locked. She scanned the room she was now in. She was in a control room of sorts. Various buttons and levers were seen laid out on a control panel. She didn't know what to press at first. Shrugging it off, she tried pressing one button. This caused a blank screen to light up, showing her what the automaton could see through its eyes. "Oh no, oh no!" Bianca's eyes widened when she saw this happening. "What do I do?" Her eyes scanned the room. She was in a panic, but her eyes managed to spot a lever with the words that read "Emergency Stop" button. She lunged for it and pulled. Feeling the Talos screech to a halt, she let out a sigh of relief. Now, to get this thing out of commission, Bianca told herself as she made her way to the command console. She studied it and thought for a moment. I wonder what this button does. After pressing a random button, she felt the robot move. She couldn't see what was doing, but she felt like it wasn't appropriate for the situation. Oh gods, what did I do? She let that go on for a few moments as she scanned the console. She spotted a couple of stick-looking things that seemed to belong in a video game console. Bianca shrugged and grasped them, giving them a trial run. From the screen that came up earlier, she saw that the robot's hands came up in front of its face like it was in a fight. She tried pressing the buttons on top of the controller, then she felt the robot shake like a train rammed itself on it or something. That tremor caused her to fall on her butt. Instinctively, she held on to the controller to use it as a grip. The age of that thing showed, and the shaft snapped. She felt the robot lurch forward. Bianca looked at the panel to see what's going on. As she did though, her blood ran cold as she saw where the robot was going. She shut her eyes close. Digging into her pocket, she brought out a familiar three-pronged kunai with strange markings. She gripped the hilt to her chest, the same way she always did when she was scared after that fateful encounter in the hotel. Praying hard to anyone who would listen, she said, "Anyone, please." Unbeknownst to her, the kunai she held to her chest began glowing. Cabin 11 Camp half BLOD. Nico sat up from the bed. He had a nagging feeling in the back of his head like he was about to lose something very important. Words of that mysterious ghost rang through his head as he sat on his sleeping bag. Oh, and he had to use the bathroom really bad. That was maybe the main reason he had to wake up. So, he groggily stood up and went to the bathroom. He let out a huge yawn as he let loose a steady flow on the toilet. As he urinated, he noticed the water in the bucket shimmer and show him an image of Bianca inside a control room of sorts. His eyes widened as he saw his sister. "Bianca!" he called out, but she didn't seem to hear her. He watched as his sister went through the different buttons on the console. She seemed to not know what she was doing, but her actions had an effect. An effect on what, though? He did not what. He was inwardly cheering for his sister while he pressed the button to flush. But a few minutes later, the room Bianca was in shook and she fell onto the floor. The girl got on her feet not long after, looking at a rod-like thing on her hand. The mist-like panel shifted the image to behind Bianca's head, looking at her own panel in the room. Now Nico's eyes widened as well, and he knew his sister was viewing. He knew that his sister's predicament was dire. He felt powerless. He wanted to do something about it, but there was nothing he could do. He didn't see the end of it though as the picture disappeared in a flash of light. Nico felt anger wash over him. He ran out of his cabin, leaving the door open, and into the woods without any gear whatsoever. He was simply wearing the clothes on his back, the same clothes he slept in. He didn't know where his sister was, but he wanted to make sure she was okay. She wanted to save her. He didn't get far though. The same man who appeared to him in his dreams was now standing in front of him. He was still wearing the same clothes as when he first saw him, and his form shimmered just like before. "So, do you believe me now?" he spoke. Did you do this? What happened to Bianca?" Nico fired question after question at him. "I assure you this is nothing of my doing," the ghost said. "Then, at least tell me what happened to my sister," Nico demanded. "This is what happens if you put your trust on mortals like them. They are unreliable," the ghost explained, not answering the boy's question. "You should have put your trust in me from the first time I talked to you. I warned you that this was inevitable, but you did not listen." "What do I do now?" Nico asked, sinking down to his knees in despair. "She's all I have. There is a way to bring her back." The ghost brought it up. "We can go to where I am from and follow in Orpheus's and Hercules' footsteps. You will retrieve her soul yourself." "But how will you do that?" Nico looked at the ghost hopefully. "Dig deep within yourself and find your heritage," the ghost explained cryptically. "And when you do, come find me." With that, the ghost disappeared in the dark of the night. Nico knelt on the ground. He could still feel the ache in heart. He looked up to her and relied on her all his life. Now that she was gone, he looked back to the camp. There was nothing holding him to this place anymore. And so, he did as the ghost had told him to. Closing his eyes, Nico tried to feel within himself. At first, he didn't feel anything. All the boy felt was the cold winter's chill. He was getting frustrated by the second, and when he was on the verge of giving up, something tugged in his gut. It was the same way Percy felt when he used his powers, but Nico didn't know that. His eyes opened, revealing an eerie greenish hue. Surrounding him was a black aura. Nico studied himself and his newfound power. He almost didn't know what to do, but as if instinct, he held out his hand. At his gesture, the ground shook, causing alarm throughout the whole camp. If his little quiet outburst didn't wake his cabin mates, then this will surely do. One by one, the lights in camp lit up as they felt the tremors. The first to wake up was cabin 11. Nico had apparently left the door open, and one of them, an unclaimed demigod named Cassandra, was awake. She was by the main door at the moment in order to close it. That was when the mini-earthquake hit. She fell on her but unable to hold herself up on her feet. That shook the sleep from her eyes. Everyone bolted awake as they felt the shake. "Everyone all right?" Connor asked. "We're all good," the boy who slept beside Nico said. He was named Joe. He stretched, but it was then that he felt something wrong. His spot was unusually wide. There was a sleeping bag beside him, but there was no Nico. "Does anyone know where Nico is?" he asked. "Maybe he's in the bathroom." Another one of the demigods, a son of Hermes named Cecil, suggested. "Nope, the bathroom's open and the lights are on," Travis said. He stood up to go and check and found nothing there. "Maybe he went outside," Cassandra offered. "The door was open when I woke up." "He couldn't have left, could he?" Connor asked. "No, that can't be right," Travis shot down. "We should go check anyway," Connor said. "Right." Everyone in cabin 11 took all the equipment they thought they need and put on their winter clothes. When they were outside, they saw that everybody else had the same idea. "Hey, there are lights coming from the woods!" A random camper yelled, running from the woods. All the demigods who were awake ran towards the woods. There they found the hunters of Artemis studying a crevice that seemed like the earth swallowed something. "What happened here?" Malcolm from cabin 6 asked. "We don't know," Kate, the newest camper, explained to the newly arrived demigods. "Has anyone seen Nico?" Connor asked. "He's not in the cabin." Malcolm pointed to the crevice on the ground. "It can't be." Connor's voice trailed off. "Don't tell me he left camp." It was then that Chiron and Kakashi came from the woods. They had left the big house in a hurry that the centaur didn't even remember to remove the curlers on his tails. Thankfully, the kids were on high alert, so they didn't notice. "What happened here?" Kakashi asked. Mr. Kakashi, Chiron," Travis greeted. "You won't believe this. Nico disappeared at the same time this crevice appeared. Couldn't this be just a coincidence?" Kakashi tried a reasonable approach. "He could just be around camp." "In our line of work, that would not be the case, my boy," Chiron said. "But let us not lose hope, he may still be around here." "Should we tell Naruto?" Kate asked. "No, let us not worry them with this while they are in the quest," Chiron said. "For now, we handle this problem ourselves." Outside the automaton at the same time in New Mexico, Percy braced himself for an impact that never came. He looked up to see the giant feet hovering above him, almost crushing him. Damn, he was pushing his luck today. He was thankful that Taichi still indulged him. Seeing that the foot was not going to continue on its course, he ran back to rejoin his friends. "Are you okay?" Naruto asked the boy as he met up with them. "Man, that was cutting it close," Percy said, scratching the back of his head. "A little too close," Naruto said. "You're lucky Bianca worked fast." "I didn't think she would get in that fast," Percy said. "You better thank her when she gets back," Naruto told him. "What is Bianca doing in there?" Zoe asked. "She volunteered herself to go and disable Talos from the inside," Naruto explained. "She said she was the only one who could fit through the hatch that was on its soul." They were broken out of their conversation when they felt the ground shake. Everyone's mouth gaped as they watched Talos do that viral Korean dance thingy for a few seconds. Now I've seen everything, Zoe said. Are you sure it wasn't Percy who's controlling Talos? Talia asked. Hey! I'm right here and you know it, Percy protested. Geez, Bianca sure was doing her job in there, 'cause after Talos stopped dancing and got to a fighting stance, it stepped forward to throw a punch, but instead of hitting what was in front of him, the automaton's fist collided with its face. The impact. I can see why it's defective, Naruto muttered as he watched the robot once again lurch forward, this time way. When he saw where the robot was headed, his eyes widened. No! He moved to run towards the automaton in an attempt to save the girl, but he was held back by Talia and Percy. Zoe looked at him with pity. This boy clearly didn't lose someone this way before. No, Naruto, you can't make it, Talia reasoned. I have to try, Naruto said. I have to bring her back to Nico, or else, there's no mark on her. Percy tried his own hand on this. No, let me go, Naruto protested. This must be what the prophecy had said, Zoe said, resigning to fate. He closed his eyes and grit his teeth, almost giving way to the inevitable. That was until he felt it. It was impossible. As Percy had said, he hadn't placed a Horatian mark on the girl and he hadn't given her a kunai. So, why in the hell did he feel a mark coming from Talos even? Could it be? He opened his eyes with a look that mirrored the day he beat Niji to a pulp for spouting those words about destiny. No, fate, he said after disappearing in a yellow flash, leaving a tri-pronged kunai that impaled itself on the ground. Chapter 17. A giant automaton lumbered forward. It seemed out of control, like there was no stopping it. It headed over to the direction of the live power lines. Its ankle snagged one of the lines, making electricity course through the bot's body. Talos' body careened back into the junkyard. Chunks of metal exploded out of the already damaged body. Much worse, its hand blew off and fell on a heap in the ground. Naruto disappeared for a second just as the giant hit the power lines, and he has yet to return. The automaton continued to shed off metal. No! Everyone yelled. Those that remained of their group thought that too were done for. There was no way even Naruto could get out of this one. Naruto, always the one to exceed everyone's expectations, appeared beside the kunai he left earlier. He was covered in steaming burns that were disappearing at a steady rate. In his arms was an unconscious Bianca. I don't believe it, Zoe said with wide eyes, seeing Naruto back. I was a little too late. Naruto huffed, laying the girl he began seeing as a little sister on the ground. Naruto lowered his ear to the girl's chest. His eyes widened at what he heard. It was faint, but it was there. He then began pumping on her chest the way he had seen on those first aid videos. You're not giving up on me that easily. Come on, Bianca. With all the movement that was happening, the figurine she took from the junkyard fell from her pocket. So, she was the one who took from the junkyard, Zoe said, looking down, not believing what she was saying. I guess I owe you an apology. Well, that is not important right now, is it? Percy answered, hauling Grover towards their group. Right now, we have to attend to Bianca. Can you use some healing magic, Grover? Talia asked. Sorry, I'm all out of magic. The satyr rubbed his head sheepishly. I used too much large-scale magic earlier. That's all right. We have to do this the old-fashioned way. We need to restart her heart, Naruto said, remembering what those pads were for from the shows he managed to catch. Talia, some lightning please. Are you sure about this? She asked just to make sure. We have to try. Naruto gave her a pleading look that the daughter of Zeus couldn't say no to. Gathering a little lightning on her hand, she placed it on Bianca's chest and sent the charge towards her heart. She jumped at the sudden jolt of electricity. Naruto immediately resumed his chest compressions. Luna came out of her hiding place and watched the events unfold. She watched Naruto as he tried to save the girl. Gaining a determined look on her face, she ran and melted into the shadows. DOA Recording Studios, Valencia Boulevard, Los Angeles. Bianca found herself looking at the gold letters etched in black marble. Music was playing softly in the background, and the carpet and walls were steel gray. Pencil cacti grew in the corner that looked suspiciously like skeleton hands. There were also rows of chairs and couches that were occupied, every single one of them. The people there looked normal for a second, but the longer the demigods stared at them, she would realize that they were transparent. She looked over to herself and her form flickered. It was then that the realization hit her. So I died, didn't I? I'm sorry, everyone. She muttered to herself. A bark came from beside her, breaking her from her current mood. She looked down and noticed the familiar dire wolf pup wagging her tail beside her. She knelt and patted her on the head. What are you doing here, girl? Did you die too? Bianca asked, earning another bark from the pup. A newcomer. A tall and elegant man wearing an Italian suit looked over to them, hearing the barks. Come here, please. She rose back on her feet, and she made her way to the stand. He looked up to the man. She saw that his eyes were empty behind the tortoiseshell shades he wore. As she walked to the man, Luna tugged on her sock like she didn't want her to go. I am Sharon, and I will be assisting you on your journey to the afterlife. The man named Sharon greeted. So tell me, how did you die and how did you get this adorable hellhound puppy? I was fighting an automaton. Bianca answered with her head down, not answering the second question anymore. Oh, a demigod. I remember the last time demigods came by here. They were actually alive. Sharon narrated. Anyway, I feel sorry for your kind. Always the ones to leave the plane of the living early. Why do I get the feeling I know who this guy is talking about? Bianca thought to herself, her inner self sweat dropping. Oh yes I am. You're still too young. I don't suppose you have an American Express account that I can charge? Sharon asked. Seeing the girl shake her head, he sighed. No, I suppose you don't. He then looked over to the girl and quickly righted himself. Oh, I'm sorry, milady. I did not realize I can make an exception in your case. Right this way. As the ferryman stood up from his high table, Bianca's form flickered, this time more erratic than the last. Oh, what's this? He said as he saw this happening. What is happening? Bianca asked, confused at the current events. It seems it isn't your time yet, Sharon said. Someone doesn't want you to leave just yet. Bianca smiled, remembering the blonde-haired boy close to his heart. Sorry for bothering you then, Sharon. And with that, she completely disappeared, leaving Luna to give Sharon a smug look on her face. Outskirts of the junkyard of the gods, Naruto continued pumping on her chest. After a couple of shocks, Talia was about to give up already. She deemed the blonde's efforts futile. Look, Naruto, there's... She didn't get to finish her statement as Bianca's hand twitched. Wait! Percy yelled. It's working. After a couple more seconds, Bianca coughed and her eyes slowly opened. Hey guys. She managed. Naruto couldn't hold his emotions in anymore. He allowed the tears to fall from his eyes and wrapped the girl in a bear hug. You scared us there, Bianca, Talia said. I'm sorry, everyone, for causing you trouble, she mumbled. What's done is done, Zoe said. What's important is thou are not safe. Bianca unwrapped herself from the sobbing blonde and stared at his blue eyes. He wiped the tears that were falling and said, I'm sorry, Naruto. Naruto swapped to a stern look on his face. You better be. We almost lost you there. I will be careful next time, I promise, Bianca said. Naruto smiled as he took in his Amuto's features. Hopefully, there won't be a next time. He managed to joke despite the situation. As he chuckled, in the corner of his eyes, he noticed the figurine she found in the junkyard. Picking it up, he said, You still have to give this to Nico, right? Thank you, everyone, Bianca smiled. I will try and keep out of trouble from now on. Naruto wiped the remaining tears from his eyes. He was now back to his normal self. Hey! We're demigods. It comes with the job description. A round of laughter came from the group. Surprisingly, even Zoe felt a tug on her smile muscles when everyone was done, Zoe said. Now we have to get out of here. That tow truck might work, Percy suggested, pointing at the edge of the dump. There was a tow truck that looked so old it seemed like it threw itself away. Is it okay to take it, though? Bianca said as she took the canteen lid that was filled with nectar. What else could wake up to attack us? Naruto shrugged. You basically took out the boss of this place. Besides, the skeletons are still out there, Taliah said. We need to keep moving. Naruto helped Bianca to her feet. She was shaky for a second there, but she was able to hold on to Naruto for support, and together with their other friends, they made their way towards the broken-down tow truck at the edge of the dump. When they were up close with the vehicle, they saw that the truck was a lot worse up close. Seeing no choice in the matter, Taliah climbed up to the driver's seat and checked everything she needed. For some reason, she found the keys in the glove compartment, and that the gas tank was full, so they were good to go. After starting the engine, she motioned for her friends to get inside. Naturally, the girls rode shotgun, leaving the boys to ride at the back of the tow truck. Zoe had volunteered to watch over Bianca during the trip. That left the three to ride on the pickup bed. With everyone comfy in their seats, or as comfy as the three guys could get, they were ready to roll. Naruto noticed that Luna wasn't in the vicinity anymore. He whistled for her to come, and just as he did, he noticed the pup come from the shadows running towards him. Thinking she was just hiding under the rubble, he shrugged. The sun was already peeking up the mountains as they left, but it was already bright enough that the sand hurt to look at. Despite that, though, the morning air was nice and cool. They sat in silence listening to a song about a girl asking Romeo to take them somewhere. Taliah wasn't happy about that since none of the stations were playing her favorite genre. Naruto wasn't sure if it was from the song, but Grover started sniffling all of a sudden. But he did notice that the satyr had been sensitive ever since the New Mexico incident. With the empathy link between them, Naruto and Percy could connect emotionally with the satyr, but they couldn't figure out what was bothering him. They tried to ask the satyr what was wrong, but he tried acting strong. I'm okay, Grover would say when the two boys asked, but they knew something was bothering him. It was like he was in Yancey Academy all over again, crying over every little thing. Maybe even more emotional than before. Luna snuggled closer to Grover to cheer him up, but it seemed like it wasn't working. The truck took them quite a long way away before running out of gas. The tow truck rumbled to a halt at the edge of a river canyon. That was just as well, because they found themselves at a dead end. Naruto and the other boys jumped down the car. As soon as Taliah slammed the door, the tires gave out like they were in their last hurrah. Great! So, what do we do now? Taliah asked. They looked around, not that there was much to see. There was still desert all around them with occasional clumps of barren mountains here and there and a rocky cliff on one side from a canyon, which was the only interesting thing in the whole place. Down below, there was a river that was about 50 yards across with green water and a few rapids. Despite its size, it carved a huge scar out of the desert. We can take that path over there, Grover suggested, causing the others to look at the direction he's pointing. That's a goat path, Percy protested. Yeah, so? Grover looked at Percy like he grew a second head. The rest of us aren't goats, Percy deadpanned. That's okay, I can carry the rest down the mountain, Naruto offered. If that's okay with everyone. No way. Taliah and Zoe disagreed, even if it was for different reasons. Maybe there's a better path if we walk upstream, Taliah suggested with a shaky breath. Oh, of course, sorry, Naruto said, noticing the daughter of Zeus's pale face. But, Grover tried to reason out, but he was interrupted by Percy, who dragged him to start walking. Come on, goat boy, Percy said. A little walk won't hurt us. Taliah flashed Naruto a thankful look and walked to catch up with the two. Naruto turned to Bianca. Can you walk on your own now? I'm fine after the rest, she answered gratefully. Just tell us if you need something, okay? Naruto said. Okay, Bianca said as they began to walk. Naruto whistled for Luna to follow, who ran ahead of them, curious of everything she was seeing. For about half a mile, they eventually found a slope that was wide enough for non-goats to walk on. On the shore, they found a couple of rental boats that were unattended. Naruto left a wad of cash he figured was enough for the boats, while Percy added a piece of paper where he wrote the words "I owe you 2 canoes." Thy penmanship is shoddy, Zoe teased the son of Poseidon. Give me a break, I'm dyslexic, Percy protested. Right. Zoe waved him off jokingly. Anyway, the rapids are too swift for us to paddle. We have to go upstream. I got it, Percy volunteered. They then placed the canoes into the water. So, the usual arrangements? Naruto asked, earning a nod from the hunter. When they were sitting on the boats set to depart, Percy found that he didn't have control of the aquatic vehicles, because under the boat, sitting under the riverbed, were two naiads trying to get the boys' attention. They actually looked like a couple of regular, flirtatious teen girls, except for the fact that they were underwater without any scuba gear. Percy actually raised a hand to give them an awkward wave, which the girls giggled at. He didn't even get to ask as the girls rose from the water, picked a canoe, and started pushing. They started off fast, almost dropping Zoe out of the boat. When she was able to stay on the boat, a stream of water like the one that came from a hose squirted up and splashed her in the face. Zoe tightened the grip on her jaw and went for her bow, prompting the demigods on her boat to hold her back from unnecessary bloodshed. She-devils! Whoa, Talia said. There's no need to go there. Cursed water spirits, Zoe grumbled. I suppose after all those millennia they haven't forgiven me yet. Forgiven you for what? Percy asked over the wind. She slung the bow over her shoulder and shook her head. It is nothing. It happened a long time ago. And so, they sped off the river, not one of them saying a word. A couple of times after the first time, the naiads sprayed the water on her. This time she didn't get angry. She had a look on her face that seemed to doubt all the decisions she had done up to this point. What's on your mind? Naruto asked. I figured you would be picking a fight by now. I was just thinking. Zoe looked up. If I had insisted on going with Artemis, perhaps we would not be on this quest. She then turned to Bianca. I am sorry. Thou almost lost thy life back there. If only I had not brought thee along. I'm back here, aren't I? Bianca grinned. You didn't lose me. No, this is my fault. Zoe shook her head. I sensed thy power, and immediately wanted you to join the hunt. When I learned thou rejected the mistress's offer, I was angry. I wanted to be your sister, and perhaps in the future you could have replaced me as lieutenant. It was my rash decision that insisted the camp to allow you to join this quest. Look, it's no one's fault, Naruto said. No one knew all this would happen. But I could have judged things better, Zoe countered. After all these years of staying by Lady Artemis's side, I did not get any wiser at all. Hey, if it's okay, since kidnapping you're worried about, whatever this thing that trapped her was, it was certainly more powerful than even her, an Olympian, Naruto explained. She didn't want anything to happen to any of us. That is why she didn't take us on her hunt. Zoe stared at Naruto. Why do you insist on calling us your sisters even if we push you away? Naruto looked down with a melancholic smile. Because you're the closest thing to family that I've ever gotten. Well, there's Camp Half-Blood and Percy and his mom, but you're the closest to blood relatives I can get. Percy looked at his brother. He knew that the blonde didn't want to talk about this thing, so he decided to change the subject. After all, he had his own questions on his mind. What do you know about this? He asked, taking out his pen. Zoe's gaze shifted over to the pen. Her expression turned from loss to pained. It was a gift, and a mistake. A gift for who? Percy asked again. Zoe took a deep but shaky breath. A long time ago, a nymph, Pleione, had 5 daughters. She lived in a garden with her daughters and her husband on the edge of the west. This garden had a tree that bore fruit to golden apples, which was guarded by a massive black dragon. The Hesperides, Naruto muttered, earning a nod from the hunter. You said there were 5 daughters. All the books I read only told the 4 daughters. I will get to that, Zoe said. Oh, I see, Naruto said. Please continue. Well, one day, there was this hero who came for an apple on the tree. After a direct assault on the black dragon failed, one of the sisters helped him. She gave him the idea on how to steal one of the apples and how to trick their father. Who was the hero? Percy asked. That's not important. Besides, I know all the young heroes look up to him and wish to emulate him. Zoe said with venom in her voice despite how much she tried to hide it. My point is, the hero succeeded on his subsequent bout. After that, he took all the credit. And the sister who helped him? Forgotten, blotted out of history. I see, so that's why. Naruto said, looking at Zoe. He had a gut feeling that story was a based on true story kind of thing, but he didn't press further since he didn't have proof. After Zoe finished her story, the naiads gurgled as if trying to tell the son of Poseidon something. I guess this is as far as they can take us. Percy pointed forward. Everyone followed Percy's gaze only to see the reason why this was the case. The river was blocked by a dam the size of a football stadium. It's huge, Talia said in awe, and so there they were, standing at the river's edge looking at a massive slab of concrete looming over the cliffs. It was so massive that the people walking on top of that thing looked like fleas in comparison. Percy waved goodbye to the naiads and thanked them for their help in getting them here. They waved back at him, and with one last spray of water to Zoe, they were on their way. Although, as soon as they turned around, Percy was pretty sure he heard them grumbling. He couldn't blame them, though. They must have hated this dam blocking up their river. Naruto stared at the dam. Annabeth's missing out on another monument. I could almost hear her voice. 700 feet tall, Percy said in her best Annabeth impression. Built in the 1930s. He was followed by Talia, who did the same. 5 million cubic acres of water, largest construction project in the United States. Followed the satyr. Zoe and Bianca stared at the three. How did you know all that? Zoe asked. Annabeth told us, Naruto asked. Without her here, her spouting out of facts doesn't seem annoying anymore. I'm never taking her facts for granted ever again, Percy said. The next time she lectures us like that, I'm making sure to listen to her. Grover sighed. She would love to come here, Talia added. Then, let's come back next time, Bianca suggested. And let's make sure to take her with, she would like that, Naruto said. We can go there right now for his sake, Grover suggested. Maybe we could get her a souvenir or two. Surprisingly, Zoe didn't protest. I personally don't think this is a good idea, but the road is up there, so sightseeing it is. And with that being said, everyone nodded. They had to walk for about an hour before they found a path that led to the road. It was on the east side of the river. It was a cold and windy path to the top. On one side, there was a big lake ringed by barren desert mountains. On the other side, the dam dropped, like the most dangerous turnpike, down to the diver's 700 feet below where the water churned through the vents. At the top, Talia made it a point not to get acquainted with the railing. She decided to walk as far away from it as possible. Grover and Naruto exchanged looks. Percy knew what that meant. He'd seen that look on Grover before. He didn't like what that meant. Is it like that time in the Gateway Arch? Percy asked anxiously. Are they close? Grover shook his head. Maybe not close. The wind could carry their scent for miles, and it's coming from several directions. My senses are going haywire, Naruto added. It seems like we're surrounded. There's a snack bar in there, Talia pointed out. Naruto and Grover's eyes widened. What are we waiting for? Let's go, they said in unison, running inside. Shouldn't we be worried if they both could sense something? Bianca asked as she watched their retreating form. It won't hurt to look around for a while, Percy said. Besides, we could use a break after everything that happened. By the way, how did you know about the snack bar? I came here once. She pointed to the far end of the dam. To Percy, he spotted a couple or three statues that looked like an Oscar statue with wings. Come on, let's go rub their toes. Percy and Bianca gave her an odd look, but Talia motioned for them to follow, to which they obliged. Later it was weird, but Percy and Bianca still did it in the end. Talia explained to them that the statues were a gift to Zeus from Athena. She also told them that rubbing the toes brought good luck, and with their current time left, they needed all the luck they can get. I don't know where these mortals got the idea of rubbing toes from, but all I'm sure of is they know that something about them was special. After that, Zoe said in a serious tone, Let us meet up with Naruto and Grover at that damn snack bar. We should eat while we can. Despite the tone the hunter used, the Percy and Talia couldn't help but snicker, while Bianca's mouth hung open. The damn snack bar, Talia repeated, causing Bianca to stare at him as well. Yes, what is funny? Zoe asked, narrowing her eyes at the two. Nothing, Percy said, trying to keep a straight face. I could use a damn burger. And I need to use the damn restroom, Talia added. Then they looked at Bianca, nudging her to chime in, but she clamped her mouth shut and shook her head vigorously. In hindsight, she was born in a time where they would force you to gargle soap for saying stuff like that. Zoe just watched her companions crack up, except for Bianca. I do not understand, she said. Percy could have continued joking, but he froze on his tracks. Did you guys hear a cow? A damn cow? Talia thought Percy was still going on with the joke. No, I'm serious this time, he said. There it is again. Listen. He held out his hands in a stop everything gesture. I hear nothing, Zoe said. Are you all right? Bianca finally let a word out now that the subject was changed. I'm fine, Percy nodded. You guys go on ahead, I'll just, use the damn restroom. The three girls just shrugged and went on to join their friends.